What happened to them? Did they make it just perfect, or did they shipwreck off the coast of Bermuda? Okay, did they turn around and go back after they shipwrecked, or did they make it to America? And why did they die by the dozens, Keller? Why did the second expedition die by the dozens? Why did they?
They lost all
Kyle?
the resources and shit.
Yeah, and so when they got there, though, instead of replenishing their resources, what did they do?
They were looking for gold.
They looked for gold, and they starved to death. They had wooded forests full of game and streams full of fish, and they starved to death because they're looking for gold. What a dope. So what did they lack, Chantel? These poor guys. What did they lack? What did this second expedition lack? Leaders. Who was the first leader? John Smith. I would know that. Okay, I'd know who Chief Powhatan was. I would know who Pocahontas was. I would know why Chief Powhatan put that poor John Smith through a mock execution. There's two reasons why he did that. I'd know those. I would know who Lord de la Warr was, and whether or not he supported or didn't support those poor buggers that survived going back home. I would know what Irish tactics were, and I would know who John Rolfe was, because he was kind of important. His marriage to Pocahontas settled the first Anglo-Powhatan War, and he also found a way to take the pungent problem out of tobacco, which led Virginia to good economic grounds. I would know a couple of names for tobacco, the bewitching weed and what? Being nicotine. And I would also know why the growing of tobacco everywhere they possibly could in Virginia caused problems. Okay, what are the two problems there, Buck? Yep, they ruined the soil because they planted consecutively. They did not know about crop rotation. It also brought the philosophy of plantations in, which led to slavery in our country. Okay? I would know what an assembly is. What is an assembly? A legislative body. I would know the first assembly in America. English assembly, the House of Burgess, right? I would know what King James I thought of the House of Burgess. He called it a what? Seminary of sedition. And I would like you to tell me what he did, because he didn't trust the House of Burgess. So what did he do, Kylie? What? He did. He took away their charter, which is what, Chantel? Yeah, God's granting rights. And who became a royal colony controlled by who? Him. Okay? All right, conflict over religion. You have to know a few things here. You have to know kind of in progressive order that the overall religion in Western Europe, right at the time of the Christopher Columbus voyage, was Roman Catholic. And it was after that voyage that people started to speak out. And I would know who Martin Luther was and where he came from. And I would know John Calvin and where he came from. And what was the name of the religious organization they came up with? It was called the Protestant. Okay? And I would know the difference between the Roman Catholic philosophy of this move and their own philosophy. The Roman Catholic, as they call it, the Protestant Revolt. And what did the Protestants call this movement? Reformation. Very good. Okay? You're doing good here. I would know who King Henry VIII was, and his big thing, what was it? He had two big things. The big thing is, he was the one that made the decision that England was going to break away from the Roman Catholic Church, right? And he also made the decision that people were going to have to join the church and pay taxes for it by law, right? I would know who the Puritans were, who the Separatists were. I would know the definition of the divine right of kings. If you have any questions on that, talk to Brooks. She can probably figure it out for you. I know who King Charles I was and what his philosophy of Parliament was and what happened to him as a result of his philosophy of Parliament. And two things happened to him because of his philosophy of Parliament. One is his country went to civil war, and two, he ended up with no head. Okay? No head. And then I would simply be able to figure out in a way of a simple term of how inflation affected the colonists, or the English move to the colonies. Remember, English merchants started raising their prices, which meant that manufacturers had to raise their prices, which meant farmers had to raise their prices, because we were charging Spain a ton of money for everything because they had money. And it didn't only affect the Spanish, it affected people in England, especially the farmers, because the land that they used to lease from the landowners no longer was available because the landowners were doing their own thing because they were making all the money, and the farmers became displaced and they came to America. But they couldn't even afford to go to America unless they became what, Mackenzie? Indentured servants, which means they had to sign a contract or an indenture to pledge 2 to 7 years of their life working for the company that brought them over to pay for their transportation, right? All right, you guys act like you got it going. So when is the test quiz? And where do you meet when you have